Welcome back to the show. Today I'm sitting down again with George Oberg. George has been here before, and one of the things I enjoy about talking with him is that you never quite know where the conversation is going to go. George is an artist, an observer of people, and someone who has lived through enormous cultural and social change. This time I wanted to talk about where he is now, his relationships with other people, making art, knowing when to trust your own perceptions, and what it means to remain hopeful when your natural inclination might be to expect the worst. We're also going to talk about friendship, alcohol, pride, Harvey Milk, and some of George's memories and observations about being a gay man through a very different era of American life. George, welcome back.
Thank you for having me.
Awesome. How are you today?
I'm fine. We just had a delicious lunch.
Yes, we did. We got pho. We went to a Vietnamese restaurant again, but a different one that only does the soup, and it was so good. I also just wanted to mention, I apologize that we missed a week. There was a technical difficulty with the episode, and there was no way for me to post it, and it was too late for me to book another guest. So that's why I missed a week a couple weeks ago. I'm sorry I didn't make any announcements about it, but here we are today. So you've described yourself as a naturally pessimistic person, but lately you've realized that pessimism just doesn't work. What's changed?
Well, if you've had issues with being depressed, and you've tried all these different therapy types, and yeah, I've had lots of different therapy experiences, but it really doesn't change the reality of your own life or the world in general. So
Yeah, I have therapy tomorrow, and I had it on Friday. After my last session, she booked me again on Monday.
yeah, I thought you just had a session with her.
Yeah, I did. She was like, let's continue this conversation on Monday. I was like, whoa, okay. I talked her ear off. I was like just talking and talking and talking.
Well, that is the good thing about therapy sessions, because you don't really want to burden your friends and acquaintances with your problems. I mean, that's just the sad fact of it. I mean, people have their own problems, and it's just not fair to dump on people. And
Right, I agree. How do you stop yourself from getting caught up in what other people think?
I have to make these affirmations and remind myself that people are not really thinking about me. People are thinking about themselves. So whatever might cross their mind will just be a brief little interlude, in their whatever. I mean, there are some people that are grudge holders, and but I don't really have any of those crazies in my life that much. That I've had a few of them that that they're dangerous, and but that thing about having, walking on eggshells because you got some crazy ass person that's looking to take offense at everything.
Oh, I know. I've been there with an old friend. I had to cut ties with her because it was too difficult. It was like constantly being nervous that, like any little thing that you did could set her off,
Well, yeah, and then they feel validated to badmouth you to anybody that will listen, and now you can get online and spread the word if you want to, the whole cancel culture thing. And
Right. Yeah, I totally disagree with cancel culture. I think it's bullshit. How do you tell the difference between intuition and something you've built up in your own head?
I try to do research. I try not to just let emotional impulses affect my judgment. And but so many times I have, like, my intuition, my initial guess, if you will, about situations, and especially about financial things and stuff, that old adage, if it sounds too good to be true, it probably isn't.
Right. I agree. I try to trust my intuition as much as humanly possible, because I've noticed throughout my life that every time I feel that I don't trust my gut, I get screwed over somehow in the end. So I feel like my intuition is very spot on most of the time.
Well, a lot of it is just plain old common sense.
Yeah, that's true too.
And yeah.
You recently had someone you trusted to help around your house essentially ghost you. Why did that affect you so much?
I need some help around here. I mean, it's just, this house is nearly 100 years old, and it's like these anger issues that I have about how you're thwarted if you just don't have endless funds to spend. You know, saying, well, here's where you're supposed to be, and how you're supposed to live, and know your place. And I'm just rebellious that way. I've always kind of, I guess I don't think that I feel special exactly. You know, I don't think I feel entitled, but maybe I am. You know, I don't know. I just want to be treated respectfully, and I think for a lot of people it's just almost impossible.
Yeah, I think that it sucks when you need help and someone doesn't follow through with their commitments, basically. I mean, I have had issues even with my property manager where they say they're going to show up and do something and then they don't, you know, and it's very frustrating. Right now, I'm trying to get a hold of them because I don't have a key to my mailbox and I cannot get a hold of them at all. I have to go to the office tomorrow in person, which is just, I really just don't want to do. But I don't have a choice. I need my mail, you know? So that's been very frustrating in my life recently.
Well, it seems like life just becomes a series of hoops that you've got to jump through, that everything is a do-it-yourself world. And if you're, well, if you've got the wherewithal and the time to, you know, endlessly be running errands and double checking this and that, I mean, it's, you know, I guess it's good to be mindful, but so many things you just kind of have to do yourself. And
yeah.
Wouldn't it be nice to be just totally rich and have a personal assistant?
I know. I've always wanted a personal assistant.
Who doesn't?
It would be great. I can barely keep up with all the things I have to do now that I'm back in school. My calendar for school won't sync with my phone, so it's not showing up on my phone, on my calendar, any of my due dates or commitments for school. And so I think I'm going to have to go through tonight and manually enter each thing, which is going to take a couple hours probably, because there's so many dates that have assignments due or meetings that I have to attend. And I'm really not looking forward to that. I'm so bad at doing that, like recording. When I grew up, I had visual processing disorder. and I'm really bad at like recording stuff like from a screen to the phone or from like a whiteboard to my notes. I'm bad at copying stuff down. So I know I'm going to make several mistakes when I do it. And I just thank God it would be so much easier if I just had an assistant to make my calendar for me.
Well, that whole thing about the petty details of one's life, there's just no getting around it. And
Yeah, for
you
sure.
can just eat up your time.
It's going to look crazy when I'm done my calendar. It's going to be like every day is going to be something. I remember when it worked, when it synced together and did it automatically, and just would show up automatically, and you didn't have to type any of it in yourself, which was wonderful. And it was, I showed like my coworkers my calendar, and they were shocked because there was so many things on it. Like, not to mention all my medical appointments, and then I have to deal with my mother's estate. So I have a lot of appointments every week. Has getting older made it harder or easier to trust people?
Well, I was so stupid when I was young. I was very. I just believed whatever people said to me. I thought, well, why would they be? Yeah, I've become much more skeptical in my old age, really. Because everybody lies to a certain extent. I mean, it's just how it is. It's not just Donald Trump. If you want to survive in this old world, you've got to be, what's the word? Well, you're kind of having to bend the truth, so that you're not getting yourself into trouble and offending people and
Right. Politically correct.
Well, yeah, and so lots of times things that, my viewpoints on different things. I hope I haven't offended your audience with some of my my remarks. I really don't care.
I don't care either.
I mean,
I'm like, they can stay offended, stay mad. I have had some negative comments since it started, but not on any of our episodes yet. So that's good. But I have had a few negative comments, and I just delete them. So
when are we going to talk about the pride stuff?
Well, what I wanted to talk about next is the portrait that you've been painting of your niece and nephew.
Oh, yeah.
You said it hasn't been going the way you wanted. What has that taught you?
It's hard to do. It's a challenge. It's like I said, I can go off on a tutorial about the history of portrait art. Art history was my minor in college, and I've kind of dedicated my life to trying to learn more, and it's great. I mean, the looking at the different artists in the past and stuff, and reading about them, and it's fascinating, and how history, just regular world history, and then the art that goes along with it. It's endlessly fascinating. But the portrait, up until not that long ago, there wasn't photography. So if you wanted to document how someone looked, you had to have a portrait done. And there have been people that were like terrific at it, that were like elevated to the highest levels, like they were a court painter, like Velázquez was the court painter in Spain, a true genius. I mean, my God, Have you ever been to the Prado in Madrid?
I haven't been to Spain yet, so I've been to Germany and Italy in Europe.
Well, you need to take a trip to
Yeah, I would love to go to Portugal
Madrid
and Spain.
and Barcelona.
Yeah.
But anyway, he was like, a real master, and so contemporary in a lot of ways. The way he put these things together, brilliant. But even with those some of those were a little stilted, and then my favorite, John Singer Sargent, who was, I think, probably the last hugely successful. He was like world famous. And
Yeah,
everybody wanted to have their portrait done by John Singer Sargent.
Googled him and I looked at a lot of his work. It's really good. Yeah.
Well, he got sick of it as well. He basically retired I think at 50 and said, no more, because it's so hard to do, to figure out, some way to make it interesting. And boy, he did some big old honking portraits. But, you think about these totally rich people back in I'm also fascinated with the so-called Gilded Age.
Right.
The wealth. Well, we're in one now.
I know.
With people, I don't know that they're commissioning great big, huge portraits and stuff that would like something that would only fit into some castle or manor house or something like that. Although they've got these big honking houses, but it wouldn't. No, that really wouldn't fit in. I guess the last portrait artist that would kind of fit into that contemporary thing that would make a class statement would be if you had a Andy Warhol portrait. That if you were, one of his subjects back in the day, that those things are worth a lot of money, and there's still people that do kind of versions of that, where it's a photograph and then they silkscreen and kind of give it a more modern
twist.
But it's funny talking about portraits. Who needs a painted portrait when everybody's taking a gazillion selfies? You've got your phone. The portrait's never really gone out of style. That's basically what it is when people are, taking all these pictures. But the painted one, that's a whole different thing. And how to make that a painting and something that somebody would want to have hanging up,
right?
And
it does
to
seem
live with it.
Like it would be hard to paint one from a photograph. Why does that feel a little like cheating to you?
It's not cheating. Like years ago, I had a pretty good portrait business. This was back in the 80s.
Oh, okay.
And I did pastels. And so they were small, so it wasn't something that was taking up a huge amount of space. And so lots of people wanted to have their children done, their pets done. I did different women, but I would do I would make it look like I said, I borrowed a lot from the Gilded Age, basically, with, where you're kind of dressed up and maybe you've got a string of pearls on, but it was small and, they were very decorative, but not something that was going to be swallowing up a whole wall or something. And then I would do children, and maybe I'd have their pet, but nobody wants to sit. And and I don't blame them. People are very busy, and it's boring. And so what I would do back then, I had a Polaroid, kind of taken from Andy Warhol, and I would take a whole bunch of Polaroid, snap, so I could see immediately what I had. I would have kind of a composition in mind of how I was wanting to map it out on the page. And then I would, blow up the Polaroids, and I would work from that. So, I'd met the person, and so it wasn't that I'd never seen them, so I
Right.
had an idea. And then the photograph was taken by me, and so it was all George doing it. So I didn't have a problem with that. There's limits to that as well because the camera has a distorting kind of a thing, but for what I was doing, that worked just fine. But where the problems come in is when somebody would commission something and they'd say, I want you to use this photograph that somebody else had taken, some kind of Olin Mills or, and say, well, I really like this, and you're going, oh my God, what can I do with this, to make it an interesting composition? And people just don't understand. And you start mansplaining, and their eyes just kind of glaze over and saying, well, I don't really want to hear that.
Yeah.
And then people, what they really would like to do is do it themselves. They've got in their mind's eye what they want it to look like, but they don't have the skill to carry it out.
Right.
And lots of times they're never really going to be happy with
final
whatever
product.
you come up with. Yeah.
You told me that you're thinking about giving up alcohol because even one drink can make you less aware of your boundaries. What have you noticed about
Or
yourself?
other people's boundaries.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I like the kind of free-flowing conversation, and as far as I'm concerned, you could just talk about anything. And but I forget that that's not that most people aren't me, or you for that matter, that they do have sensitive areas and stuff.
Right. It's hard to.
And lots of times these sensitive areas have never been brought up. So you really don't know this. So you've got to exercise a lot of restraint lots of times with conversation with people that you really don't know very well. Yeah.
Yeah, I understand that because it lowers your inhibitions. So it makes you more talkative. But I guess.
Well, I've always thought anything for a laugh. I'm always thinking, well, if that's.
Right. You called yourself.
One of my favorite comics. I love the insult comics.
Yeah, me too.
I do that dog, that puppet dog. What's his name? The insult dog.
Let me see. I'm bringing it up right now. Triumph. That dog is so damn funny. And it's some guy. Is it Robert Schmegel? Yeah, Robert Smeagol or Schmeagol. I'm not sure.
He's a genius, and he also did those cartoons.
I've seen that before. Remember that was like during the late 90s, I think.
Well, Triumph is still around. They still have him popping up, and it's like the craziest thing because this guy just got this puppet on his arm, and the dog's got a cigar in his mouth, and saying these kind of like Don Rickles. Do you know Don Rickles?
Yes, I am. I do know who that is. And
I actually saw Don Rickles perform. That's one of my people. Some people have their bucket lists of bands and stuff that they want to see, and I always was like, big on these comics from the classic era and stuff. And oh my God, that guy was so funny, crazy. Not a very good-looking little guy, and God help you if you were sitting close around, that you could be targeted by him because he would, just say the most insulting things. You just couldn't believe it. So
Yeah,
I saw him in Houston, and his opening act was Joan Rivers, and this was years ago, and it was kind of before her comedy got so biting. It was still, kind of a little more family friendly, TV friendly a little bit. And then I saw her twice at the Paramount. And the last time I saw her at the Paramount, can I tell the last joke that she told in it?
Yeah, of course.
Okay, so she would, make up these stories about, celebrities and stuff, and she was, joking around, and she says, well, I was with Whitney Houston the night that night it was at the Grammys, or it was some kind of awards thing or something.
I think it was the Grammys.
Or something. She says, I was with her that night. And then she said, she wanted to take a shower, but I told her, I said, bitch, get in the tub. You need to douche.
That's so funny. Oh my God. She was so
That
bad.
was the last line of the thing, And I mean, you're just, my God. You're thinking too soon?
Yeah, I miss her so much.
She had a huge gay following.
Yeah.
And so that was one of the first things when she opened the show. And she said, well, where are my gays? And of course, there's this huge roar in the crowd. And she says, I love the gays. They're so fucking stupid, they'll laugh at anything.
Yeah, it sounds like Joan. Oh my gosh. I wish I had gotten to see her. I remember when she came to Austin and I wanted to go, but something had prevented me. I don't know what it was, but I can't remember now because it was years ago now. But there was something that prevented me from going. But
well, it was packed and it was so raucous, and it was because she had all these great big paper things in front at the footlight things, that were all lining the edge of the stage.
Oh, really?
I guess that were like cues or something, that would like,
okay.
Because I mean, once she would get started, once you wound her up, she would go from one thing to the other, and just too funny. And like I said, back a long time, she's always been funny, but when I saw her with Don Rickles, there was no F-bombs. There was no, really talking dirty.
Different, yeah. You've said that many of your closest friends throughout your life have been women because men often aren't emotionally available. Why do you think that is?
I don't know, Henry. I really don't.
I don't either, but I would have to agree.
I don't have an answer. I don't have an answer for that.
I would have to agree personally. The same. Right now at my job, there's no women. It's all guys.
I noticed.
And it's
there used to be a couple of gals working in there.
Yeah, it's kind of disappointing to me. I'm like, oh, I have no friends at the store. You know what I mean? I mean, I'm friends with a few people, but I don't know. There's something about working even as a coworker, just having like at least one gal there to,
I have to take this
gossip
back,
with.
Henry, because you're emotionally available.
Yeah.
But you're kind of an exception to the rule as far as like...
I've been in therapy all my life, so I think...
But I don't know, well, let's back up. I've known him. How old were you when I first met you, Henry?
Oh, man, I'm not sure. I might have been 13.
I think so.
So you've probably known me for 15, 16, 17, 18 years, maybe?
Yeah.
Maybe close to 20 years.
I remember you kind of being like...
Because I'm turning 32
You weren't like a little
soon.
boy, but you were like... I don't think you were...
I think I was 13.
12 or 13, something like that.
12 or 13. Yeah, so maybe it's been about 20 years then.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's crazy. Time goes by so fast.
And you were always a good listener.
Yes.
And I'm sure a lot of the stuff that you heard probably you shouldn't have. But I think that's what makes you the man that you are right now.
Well,
actually.
it was always like that when I was a kid. I never had... I always was kind of treated as an adult. Because I didn't really behave like a child when I was a kid. I was very mature. So I don't know. I had like parents filtering themselves around me. You know what I mean?
Well, I don't recall censoring the conversation when you came in exactly. I mean, I don't think we were like talking about anything too outrageous, but I don't know. You've always been such a sponge.
I know. That's what all my teachers used to say about me. They would say I was like a sponge.
It always like amazes me that I'll be talking with you and how your memory, that you'll remember something from way back. I mean, oh my God.
We hear a lot about the difficulties of being gay. What we don't talk about enough is that it's actually wonderful, right?
It's the best.
I agree. I love being gay. I
love being gay too.
I would not want to be straight. Being straight just seems so boring. It's such a boring existence.
It's fraught whenever you start talking about this, the gay pride, because that was, so now we're on to the gay pride section of the conversation.
Pride weekend.
Yeah, it's Pride Weekend.
Here in Austin.
So this whole thing about, the right wing does not want gay pride. That is anathema to them. In fact, I think the religious right wing, wants nothing less than self-hatred. That's what's, as I see it. I hear people that are always like rationalizing or making excuses for right wing attitudes and saying, well, my friends, they'll have some kind of an anecdotal response to talking about the homophobia. And then deep down, whenever I'm hearing this, I'm thinking, well, you're okay with it. I mean, why don't you just admit it, that you're okay? It doesn't really affect you. So you'll let it slide. And but it really does kind of get down to a point of right and wrong. And so then this whole thing about saying, I'm happy to be gay, or I wouldn't want to change. And then the other side takes offense at this and they say, well, you're putting down straight people. No, I'm not. I'm happy for you. If that's, if that's what you want to do, fine. But this alternative thing of saying, well, therefore you must hate yourself. And that's really what it boiled down to for so many years. And that's what the movement has been all about. It's kind of like the whole Black is beautiful, idea that for so long, I mean, and really kind of still, this whole thing about being a person of color, it was kind of shameful or something, I mean, can you believe it? I mean, but that's kind of how it was. Can you imagine the segregated South not that many years ago, and you can't come into the bathroom? Separate bathrooms.
Right.
How insulting is that? We're not going to serve you at this five and dime lunch counter.
I can't imagine living through that. It's so different than it is now. What did pride mean to you when you were younger, and what does it mean to you now?
Well, I must say, whenever it all, like I said, I remember 1969. That was the year that I graduated from high school. And so there was like a little blurb about the Stonewall riots, and, kind of up until that point, anytime, there was no internet, there was really you could go to the public library and, if you looked up something about homosexuality, it was all negative. And the only one that really was not that was Freud, oddly enough, that if you actually looked at Freud, he never looked at it as a mental illness, but up until the 70s, it was like listed as a mental illness.
Right, in the diagnostic statistical manual.
Exactly.
Of mental illnesses, yes. And I'm curious to see when it was removed from that.
It was in the 70s, I think.
Yes, it came right up. 1973.
73. And I remember that as well. But all these were fights, and the fights were with these gay men, and we're going to talk about Harvey Milk, but there were others. It wasn't just him. There were other people that had the balls to be out and to actually take a stand on this and fight. And because, like I said, this whole thing about society in general really was you were punished greatly if you didn't conform. And then, so that was like a first step. And then the whole gay people in the military, and I really don't have much use for Bill Clinton. I mean, I think he probably helped with kind of making the economy a little stronger for a while.
Right.
But
the economy was really good during the 90s.
Well, it was because, but like I said, it was like those beginning things about lifting all the safeguards and stuff on Wall Street. But hit that don't ask, don't tell. That was fucked up, and it really caused a lot of trouble for people in the military.
Right, I agree. I remember when they got rid of it, wasn't that long ago.
Well, and even Barack Obama, talking about gay marriage, now we all kind of take that for granted. And when he was first running, he said, "Oh, well, no, I don't." This pandering to the, I guess it's a majority of people, that they want to keep their advantage. It's better to be straight. So back to the gay pride thing, people always say, well, I would rather be, if I had a choice, it's really kind of subversive for a lot of people to say what we just said. No, I'm happy to be gay. I would not change.
Right. Yeah. I think the main thing for me just about Pride in Austin is I do not attend it because it is in August and it is 107 degrees outside. I do not want to go watch a parade in this heat. But I would go if the weather was nice. You know what I mean? So I did not participate in anything to do with it at all. But only because of the weather, to be honest with you. I did get asked if I wanted to go to some parties or something, but...
Are you going to go?
Well, no, I have to do homework,
Oh,
George.
yeah, you told me you're swamped.
Yeah, I'm swamped. I'm very swamped. I have to make a website from scratch tonight. Wish me luck.
God.
Let's see. So, what do you think Harvey Milk understood about hope?
Well, I think he's a saint. I mean, not a saint in the sense, he was like a human being, a man and everything. But he made a huge difference and impact. And I had never heard of him. And this was like 1978, maybe. It was like just before he had died. And there was a NBC, it was called White Paper, but it was like a documentary series thing that they had every once in a while. And it focused on him. It was, I remember I was in San Antonio during Fiesta. I don't know people, but that used to be there was a big gay, there was like
I've been to Fiesta.
there was I don't know if it's still there, but it was a motel not too far from the Alamo, but it was right down there. And the gays would take over this whole motel. So people would like book this a year in advance. So all around the pool, it was like, I guess it's kind of like the bathhouse or something, all the gay people like mingling around the different rooms and stuff. Well, anyway, I had looked forward to this event, and I had a hot date, and we'd driven up there, and I started getting sick the day or so before.
Oh, no.
That was back when I was still going to the gym, and this over-exercising and starving so that your stomach is flat and defined and all this stuff. So you look good, but you feel like shit. So anyway, we drive up there, and I was just sick by the time I got up there. So I didn't do anything. I just stayed in the motel room, and this documentary was on about Harvey Milk, and I'd never heard of him. And I remember watching this thing about him, and I thought, they're going to kill him.
Oh, yeah.
Isn't that crazy? That was in my head. I said, somebody's going to shoot his ass.
You were right. Yes, we have more on about him in the news, but I was going to go ahead and read some of it just to people who aren't aware. Harvey Milk was the first openly gay person to be elected to public office in California. Less widely known is the fact that in the last year of his life, he tirelessly fought a very virulently homophobic statewide initiative that looked very likely to pass and would have put California in the vanguard of a growing anti-gay movement. Within a week of it's happened in 2016, blah, 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 blah. So it says, in the midst of the political climate among the site of Compton's cafeteria riot, pre-Stonewall, because of persistent police harassment and abuse of drag queens and transgender women, making it nearly impossible for LGBTQ folks to congregate in public. Over a decade later, Anita Bryant's homophobic Save Our Children campaign was prompting the attempted repeal of the few protections that existed for LGBTQ people in cities and states across the country, including California. In the midst of that political climate, Harvey Milk defiantly introduced San Francisco's first gay rights ordinance in 1978 as a member of San Francisco's Board of Supervisors. The New York Times deemed the ordinance the most stringent and encompassing in the nation. In the same year, Milk and an army of activists opposed Proposition 6, also known as the Briggs Initiative. The ballot measure was spearheaded by State Representative John Briggs, and it would have mandated the firing of any California teacher who was gay or was in support of gay rights. Milk campaigned across California and publicly debated Briggs, determined to counter Briggs' hateful rhetoric even though the proposition looked likely to pass. When the Briggs Initiative lost by more than 1 million votes, San Francisco celebrated. Harvey Milk was assassinated on November 27th, 1978. And he is remembered every year on a statewide holiday in California on his birthday, May 22nd. So those were just some of the things that he did, his accomplishments.
Let's get up to recent history. There was a battleship or something that was named the Harvey Milk, and Donald Trump took his name off of it.
Oh, really? I didn't.
Yeah.
I didn't hear that. I didn't see that when I looked through the news.
I think so. I don't think I'm hallucinating that. So Harvey Milk was in the Navy, so he served in the military.
I see. That makes sense then. Yeah, it says... Okay, well, it says it wasn't a battleship, but it was a replenishment oiler, and I don't even know what that means. But there was a ship named after him, and they renamed it in June 2025 to honor a World War II Medal of Honor recipient. Ridiculous. So that happened just a year ago.
Well, any Republican that sits back and says, "Oh no, we're not a homophobic," they've got their head up their ass. I mean, it's pretty damn clear that Project 2025, what it's all about, and
it's lots of things that were listed in Project 2025 have come to fruition. So it's definitely real. And people that thought that it wasn't going to happen are deluded.
Well, Henry, the thing that scares me is there's a lot of people that they would like for that all to happen. They're perfectly okay with it, as long as they think that it doesn't affect them. If it's going to bring some other people down to where they feel they have more of an advantage, then great. So all these different DEI things and
Right.
I get it. That it's made things very competitive over the last, however many years that's kind of been in effect. And well, like poor old Harvey Milk, he wrote this very moving. He kind of knew he had death threats every day. Can you imagine being kind of like a city council person is what he, that was about how high he got up there. I think he probably, knew that it was a very real possibility. And, well, like I said, talking about, these different things for old gay people like me, it's really hard to shake off how things used to be, and people just don't get it. They can't because I think it's kind of like racism or slavery and stuff. And people say, well, why should there be reparations and stuff? I didn't own any slaves. I don't consider myself a racist. Why should there be any of these things to kind of level the playing field, somewhat? Well, or all the different things like for women. They're getting fired right and left with, I think, in the Defense Department and
do you think anything important has been lost as Pride has become more mainstream?
Well, I wonder. I think it's still fun. We were going to talk about the positive things about being gay, and here I've slipped off into this but that's where I'm going to veer off. It is so much better, now. And, so for a kid, you can just get on your phone and think, well, you're, like when you were 12 or something like that, you could just get on your phone and click on there and there's these positive references and stuff. It's not going to be like oh, you better watch out, they were like the sodomy laws and stuff. They were actually, so all those things have been
really started to change a lot when I was in high school. Like we talked about, that's when Don't Ask, Don't Tell was repealed. That's when gay marriage was legalized. And that's kind of when I noticed the direction of the country was shifting more towards...
Oh, it made the right wing furious.
Yeah, it was shifting more towards people being in favor of gay rights more than those who were not.
Yeah, but a third of the country, and that's, I don't think I'm exaggerating, are haters.
Yeah.
And they rationalize this somehow or another, and they were furious that there was 8 years of a black man in the White House. And they were furious that gay people weren't punished, and this whole idea that, that you've got to, I think that's why there's so many, crazy ass gay men, still.
Right. Yeah. There are so many.
Now they might be a lot of fun.
Right.
But I don't know. Do people still go out to gay bars anymore? Is that even a thing? Yeah. Okay.
The last time I went out to the clubs was on New Year's Eve, I think. So I don't go very often. But I did go. I went to every single one of them. I went bar hopping with my friend. I have a good wingman to go out with. So I like going out with him, but it was expensive because the cover charges were crazy. And I like,
for New Year's Eve especially.
yeah, I would rather go out maybe on a weeknight when it's not so crowded. But
Well, see, then there's that other thing that things revolving around drinking.
right.
And,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, the one thing I will say that I love about the gay bars is that the drinks are very cheap.
Oh, yeah.
Much cheaper than they are at straight ones.
Yeah, those well drinks that were rot gut.
Gut wrenching, yeah.
Oh, yeah, you're
Yeah.
gonna have a hangover and a half.
Yeah.
Or probably a headache before you even get home.
I know what they use to make them because they come in my store to buy the alcohol the bars buy from us. We do wholesale accounts, so I would never drink that kind of liquor on purpose.
Well, and I'll hear people say, well, I want, some kind of top shelf thing. And I've heard that they'll pour Everclear into the bottles and,
Oh yeah.
you know.
I've seen them buy Everclear before, yeah. Some of the clubs, they do use it in something. I don't know what they use it for, but some of them buy it sometimes.
Well, they use them in the margarita machines and stuff.
Yeah. You lived through the HIV/AIDS crisis and watched people respond to fear, illness, sex, and risk in radically different ways. What did that period teach you about people?
It taught me about the resiliency of the gay community. I'm so proud that these survival instincts and stuff, it seems like, there was, I'm hoping that the Democratic Party is going to have some fight in it to, kind of fight back against this fascist crap that's going on right now. But money talks. But back to the gay, a lot of very sad stories and stuff. And so I'll hear people that want to, straight people, or they've got some kind of an AIDS story or something, and they've I guess since they're just telling this story, some kind of a thing, and maybe they can squeeze a tear out or something, but they didn't know the half of it. I mean, as far as like what being a gay man during that period was really like, and then I think there was a real control measure thing that was going on. I think these opportunities for the pharmaceutical companies to make a lot of money, just like with COVID. That it's if we really kind of saw the inner workings of corporate America when these crises, take effect. It's kind of like making money off of war. I mean, that's the oldest thing, like people get rich.
Military industrial complex.
Yeah. But the same thing with the pharmaceuticals and I think these societal control measures, about trying to say, well, what's the best thing for the social order? So, for the longest time, this whole protecting the family unit and this idea of, the male breadwinner and the stay-at-home wife and raising the kids and organized religion and this conformity to this was, I guess it was considered, I know, like in the 50s, that was like the ideal for, society to function properly for, I think, corporate America, basically, is that you didn't really step out of line with that. And so,
right.
But it's so unfair. And the whole concept of the women's movement. And so, have some poor woman say, well, what if you don't have a husband that's supporting you? Or you've got a husband and they're not making enough money. or you're divorced, or you're widowed, and you've got to get out and get a job. And then for gay people, that for all that time there was a draft. So,
Right.
it wasn't like you could just now just say, well, I'm not going to get involved in that. Then, you 18 years old and you were signed up for it. And there was no way. I mean, I guess go to Canada but back then, if you said I'm homosexual, it was like a on your record kind of, Yeah, the fear of it, that how that could damage your reputation and stuff. I mean, to think about it, like I said, back to the whole gay pride thing. So, yeah, we should all be very grateful for the Harvey Milks and the different fighters that have the guts to get out and Larry Kramer, another one, terrific activist, and
Right. I feel like the history of LGBTQ rights is not really discussed enough.
well, yeah, it puts people on the defensive.
Yeah.
It does, and that you just talk about it, and then they immediately, say, "Well, I'm not that," but just the fact that people are so, if it really came down to it, you ask people, well, okay, so if have children, would you care if they were gay? And so I guess a lot of people would, now it would be very politically incorrect to say, oh, well, of course that's fine, but I wonder, if people are really being honest, if they say that it really wouldn't make any difference.
Right. And I'm trying to I watched a really, really good documentary from the 70s about LGBT people. I think it's called Word Is Out.
Oh, yeah.
I'm not sure if that's the one I'm thinking of or not.
It's a great documentary.
Yeah, it was really, really good, and I highly recommend that you watch it if you haven't seen it or heard of it.
Well, they show on Turner Classics during.
Yes,
they show it. Yeah,
that's where
every
I
year,
saw
yeah.
it. I've seen it a couple times on that channel.
Well, and then the documentary about Harvey Milk. It's much better than the stupid movie with Sean Penn.
Oh yeah, I never saw the movie with Sean Penn. People should watch that documentary too. Let me see. Do we know what it's called? Is it just called Harvey Milk, I wonder?
The Life and Times of Harvey Milk.
Okay. The Life and Times of Harvey Milk. Yeah, and that came out in 1984.
It won an Academy Award.
I think it's on Netflix if you want to watch it. If you're out there and you haven't seen it.
Get your Kleenex out because you're going to cry. It's heartbreaking. Because you watch this film and you grow to love Harvey Milk.
And do you think there's anything that younger generations need to understand about what the period was actually like during the 1980s?
Well, I don't think the history books are ever going to, like I said, especially now, paint a really honest picture of it. And I had a good time in the 80s, actually. It was a really fun period. I was still young, and my values were very different. Like I was talking before, everything that was important to me was how I looked. And like I said, what bathing suit I had for that Fiesta weekend in San Antonio. Mm-hmm. But what do I remember about that? I certainly didn't, I didn't get lucky or anything because I felt like shit, had a sore throat, but it introduced me to Harvey Milk. Isn't that strange that would be my my memory of this. I looked
Right.
great. I had a tan. I was like going to the tanning bed and,
Golly.
making sure that I could parade around, that I was like, totally, evenly tanned
There's a tanning salon nearby where I work, and I see the people come in from it, and I'm so jealous of their tans, but I would never do a tanning bed because I'm too scared of the wrinkles and the skin cancer. But I would do a spray tan. I have had them before.
I'm allergic to that spray tan stuff, though.
I'm not allergic to it, but it never comes out quite right. I've never really had one that was really good, They're always
Off.
a little. Yeah. But I use tan drops, and I love those. They don't really make you very dark, though, but they do give you a little bit of color. And you just mix them in with any moisturizer you want. They are great. It's very natural looking. It doesn't look fake at all. I highly recommend Isle of Paradise. When I asked what had surprised you lately, you immediately brought up John Ossoff. What impressed you about him?
Well, I know it is wrong to look for a savior, somebody a hero, kind of like talking about Harvey Milk. But I think it's kind of necessary for humanity, to have leaders. I don't think it just kind of happens in a vacuum, that change can be affected. And like the last elections with Hillary and with Kamala, and I think they were both worthy candidates. But this reality of who is going to win in this country, and I think it's just not going to happen with. Yeah, I'm not saying that a woman can't, but those two, I don't think that was going to happen. I was disappointed. I really kind of like, I think I told you it made me sick because I thought for some reason that Kamala had some kind of momentum. I didn't think people could be so crazy as to put this maniac back in office, but I was wrong. I mean, it's just kind of how it is with this John Ossoff. He is so handsome. He's got a charismatic, kind of a little Obama-esque, very well spoken. And I listened. Did you listen to the speech last night?
So I played it, and I fell asleep during it.
Oh no!
But I listened to the beginning of it, so I did hear part of it, and it was very impressive. And I liked the parts that I did pick up on, were when he directly addressed Trump or Trumpism, like the talking about, and I included an article about it in the news, but I think. Let me see if I can find that. I think that, it went viral. The speech went viral. So everyone should listen to it. I'm going to listen to the rest of it later.
You should.
I will. It says, Ossoff drew attention on Sunday for calling out a little-known aide to President Trump by first name on a Midtown Atlanta rally stage. That was the speech you were talking about, right? Yeah, that's what it was part of a longer prepared speech that hammered Trump over the war in Iran and part of a larger strategy to raise his profile in a critical Senate race, all while some national Democrats openly question whether he will mount a 2028 presidential run. A quote from it is, he doesn't want to do the job. He wants to build his ballroom and travel with Natalie on their apparently defenseless flying palace gifted by the Emir of Qatar. Referencing Natalie Hart, the president's executive assistant. Quote unquote. Allegedly.
Quote unquote. Quote.
The comment, though just a brief remark in a 30-minute speech, drew over 5 million views and swift backlash from Republicans, including the president himself, who shot back on Monday, calling him a Pee Wee Herman lookalike. That's really ironic because he's so
John is drop dead handsome.
Yeah, he is gorgeous.
Gorgeous. And sexy.
Yes, it says his campaign appearances are marked by pithy stump lines that are prone to catch fire online and aggressive jabs at Trump and his Republican opponent that appeal to Democrats' desire for fighter candidates. Now, that's what I was trying to say earlier. That's what I picked up on. That's what I appreciate about him, because I do think that a lot of Democrats are just so spineless, you know?
Well, yeah, they'd rather be supposedly right than win.
Right.
And, the whole thing, no offense to Kamala Harris, but this whole, and no offense to Hillary, but any moron would know that they probably were going to have some problems. And so you're thinking, well, but it's their turn. And she was the vice president, and it's the right thing to do. And you're thinking, fuck that. You got to win, because, like I said, there was so much riding on all that. And I'm also mad at Joe Biden because, he obviously has been sick for a long time. He's been a mess. Yeah. And that whole episode and stuff. The people that are, in the advisors and stuff should have put their heads together and say, we've got to get a plan going here. And, so that somebody was in line to win, to win. And I don't know, I guess he was delusional or something, but that debate, I'll never forget watching that. He had done, I don't know, it was the State of the Union, but remember he had been on TV not that long before, and he gave a really good, it was very reassuring. I thought, well, he still has got it together.
I remember that, and then that debate was so bad. Yeah, I had wished from the very beginning that he had not run for re-election. I just thought he was just too old.
Well, it's like this whole thing about talking about judgment, and that's the first thing. Well, so that's what you're coming up with here, that we've got this hierarchy of, who's up next. And I'm not going to say it's like DEI, but a little bit. And just like, his pick for vice president, and that was all very calculated to appeal to women and also to voters of color. Although Kamala's, very mixed race, and I don't know. I was never really that impressed with her, to tell you the truth. When the debate and stuff, and she let him have it, and did some kind of a soundbite thing, and so she had her moment. Remember that in the debate, and she was saying something about him talking about busing or something, or some kind of a busing thing, and then she said, "I was one of those little girls," and I'm going, "Oh my goodness," but. I was never that big of a fan of Joe Biden, to tell you the truth.
Mm-hmm. Well, I think he was a good president when we had him, but yeah, I didn't vote for him in the primaries, I don't think, so.
Oh, yeah. Definitely when you're talking about the alternatives, but I don't know, like I said, this the damage that's being done to our beloved country. If you are a patriotic American and you don't see this, and also that first 4 years that he had, oh my God, all those Supreme Court justices. And I don't think a lot of people that even thought about that it doesn't even come into their consciousness about, oh yeah, this is somebody that can pick Supreme Court justices.
Yeah, that was the most devastating thing, I think, about Trump winning the first time to me was knowing that he would have those SCOTUS picks, because I knew it would screw up the court for decades, you know? And
Well, the kind of government that we're headed towards with that 2025, with this kind of thing, this kind of a thing that we're doing in the podcast would not be tolerated.
oh, yeah.
They'd hunt your ass down and say, you're going to jail.
Yeah, that's
Shut
frightening for sure. Yeah, and it says that Ossoff, he's very meticulous about how he communicates and the details of his campaign's work. And then he's hands-on in all aspects of his campaign, including messaging.
I hope he's got a good security detail around him.
Yeah.
Because those fascists, they look at him, he's so good looking, he's so well spoken. He's got, he's young. I mean, he's going to appeal to a lot of demographics, except the religious freaks. But you know what? That 30%, they are lost. I mean, Hillary had that right. Just forget about trying to convert those people, because even with all this stuff, the people that I know that are the MAGA types,
Oh, it's like a cult.
I don't know what world they live in,
Yeah,
and it's like
it's so diluted.
the meanness of it, and it's all really rooted in owning the libs.
So I didn't realize that he was running for re-election. I thought he was still in office or still in his first term or whatever. I guess this is his second term that he's running for re-election. I am amazed that Georgia has flipped blue, to be honest with you. But
Well, thank you, Stacey Abrams.
Yeah, and I hope it stays that way after the midterms. It's really interesting how they're basically in the article just saying that he's seen Georgia's Democrats lose so many elections that they should have won. He doesn't want complacency because he thinks that it could slip away from him.
Well, the thing is that this country is whooped. I mean, so many people. We are so lucky, Henry, to be, in our protected Austin, where it's kind of okay, to be Henry. It's okay to be George, and nobody's going to bother you, and have our little pleasant lunch and
Right.
coffee and
Yes, and just for reference, for people that don't know, about 70% of Austinites voted for Democrats in the last election. So it's a very liberal place here. By far the most liberal place in Texas.
But then you go around to all these other areas and stuff, and it's not. And it's
Right.
easy to forget when you're in this Austin bubble about the reality of really the rest of the country, and this kind of mindset. And when you've got this sort of economic disparity, and you'll hear people saying, "Oh well, but even poor people in this country have got it so much better than poor people in Africa or India."
Oh, yes, of course.
And of course, that's true. They say, well, poor people here would be rich people. But that doesn't make a damn bit of difference to somebody that's struggling. And it doesn't change people's wants and needs. And, and you can tell people, know your place, and say, well, what is that place that you're telling me I'm supposed to know? And explain it to me. And, and if they were really being, honest about, well, no, your place is to work until you drop and don't complain. Follow orders and, accept, your reality. And I don't know, that's just not the reality of human nature. I think most people always kind of want that pursuit of life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. And people say, well, that ain't going to happen for you.
Right. And one of the...
Or if they feel that way, if they perceive that that's being taken away.
Speaking of people struggling, one of the news stories I pulled for this episode is that Round Rock ISD, which is a school district outside of Austin, it's in the Austin metropolitan area, it's just north of the city, reported that they have over 1,000 homeless students this year, which just blows my mind because Round Rock probably has maybe, 100,000 people total. And that seems like a staggering number of people to be homeless students. I thought that was so shocking. I mean, that's really scary. It says that it's not only students living on the street, it's also families in shelters, hotels, or motels, or doubling up with multiple families in an apartment.
Or living in their car.
Right, or living in their car. I mean, I don't even know how they could have that many. It's unbelievable. And
I believe it.
I just feel that it's so sad and so messed up. I mean, there should be more social services for people experiencing that and more options. It's sad that right now with the government the way that it is, people in that situation are just kind of fucked.
Well, like I said, this getting to the root causes of homelessness, of these facts of bad luck, and not having health care, and then all the people that have got alcohol and drug problems.
Right.
It's like really kind of an epidemic, I guess. And then the other thing about people that when you talk about 1,000 homeless kids in school, how does that affect your learning abilities and stuff?
Right.
Whenever you're...
I'm sure it's not easy. I remember I had a friend in elementary school. I don't know why he keeps coming up in my mind. I was talking about him at work the other day, and he was basically homeless. His mom and him just lived from motel to motel to motel. They would just move around between different motels, and it was really eye-opening for me to see that, because I grew up in a mansion,
I know you did.
And so I had never seen anything like that before. And he was like my best friend. And then tragically, his mother died very, very young from breast cancer. And I ended up moving away to be with his father to Dallas. And so I lost touch with him. And I haven't seen or spoken to him in many, many, many years.
Well, there's so many kids that, they wind up at Gardner Betts, these different things that are criminalized early on, that you're pegged, and so many times they need a lot of help with learning disabilities and stuff. So, all these different kinds of forms of dyslexia, that is not just one particular reading problem, that there's just a whole range of things. And then the whole thing about talking about the autism range, I thought, my God, I guess there's a diagnosis for all these different problems that could be traced to, who knows, maybe it's just something that's in the food. So many things about the nutrition things that you wonder, if you're having a steady diet of junk that's not really nourishing your brain, what kind of damage that does as far as like the learning process, besides the fact about people that food insecurity things. And it's just kind of shocking to think in this country that's even an issue.
Yes, I just think in the wealthiest country in the world, it's just unbelievable that a suburban school district would have that many homeless students. It's really sad. I also wanted to talk about Paramount. Did you read about Paramount?
Now, tell me a little bit more about that. You told me that they're going to set up shop here in Austin.
So Paramount is eyeing Austin as their potential new base and threatening to ditch Hollywood during this antitrust battle that they're involved in. As an antitrust battle threatens his Hollywood empire, Paramount boss David Ellison is eyeing a new base in Austin, Texas, the Post has learned. The 43-year-old media mogul facing heat from California Attorney General Rob Bonta, I'm not sure, over his plans to merge Paramount with Warner Brothers. Discovery, in a $110 billion mega deal, is actively evaluating a prospective movie and TV studio in the Texas capital, according to three people familiar with the matter. While Paramount has not formally committed to the plans yet, sources say the entertainment giant and its partners are in advanced negotiations and zeroing in on the Bluebonnet Business Center, a hulking commercial development just east of the city, as a primary target. Located at 9219 Old Manor Road, the sprawling industrial park's crown jewel is Building 4, a 415,000 square foot cross-deck mega facility. By comparison, Paramount's legendary lot in Los Angeles, whose sound stages have produced iconic films including Rear Window, The Godfather, Grease, and Forrest Gump, spans about 360,000 square feet. Warner Brothers, home of legendary films from Casablanca to Blade Runner, operates dozens of sound stages across LA with a combined footage of nearly 1 million square feet. A Paramount spokesperson declined to comment on the story. Basically, representatives for the property's developer in Austin also declined to respond for comments. It sounds like it's going to happen because of this whole antitrust deal. And apparently they're being sued by 12 different states regarding this merger with Warner Brothers. And he's paying out billions of dollars in fines due to it. So the surprise pivot from the CEO of Paramount, Skydance, could be framed as a strategy to cut costs by skirting California's high taxes regulations and its heavily unionized entertainment industry workforce, according to sources behind the plans. I think that this would be really, really great for Austin.
Yeah.
So I believe that, I could end up getting a job there after I graduate if this happens.
I could see you working there.
Yeah. So I'm excited about it, and I hope that it goes through, although I do think the whole reason why they want to move to Austin is pretty screwed up.
Boy, yeah.
Trying to get around the law and avoiding this antitrust thing that's going on. It says public records show work is already well underway at the Austin site, making it a turnkey fortress. It says it boasts 36-foot high ceilings, 96 dock doors, and a mammoth 4,000 amp power supply. Interesting. And I looked it up. It's on 290, halfway between Austin and Manor. So it's only 10 minutes away from where I live because that toll road is so fast. It says municipal permits from the city of Austin show specialized contractors have been bustling around the property performing wide sweeping power, plumbing, and wiring upgrades. However, one Austin business bigwig told the Post there would be 3 issues. What is the economic benefit and footprint in Austin? What are the workforce potentials? And then what kind of state benefits would come out of it? It says the project, if finalized, would hand a massive victory to Texas Governor Greg Abbott, who continues to lure entertainment productions away from the West Coast with aggressive tax perks and state film incentive packages. Austin already boasts a growing studio network anchored by Robert Rodriguez's Troublemaker Studios and the Austin Film Society facilities. And I know in Mueller, there's a very large studio on 51st Street. It's kind of hard to see it from the road. It's just like a little driveway that goes in, but it looks huge actually when you drive past it. And I don't know what they filmed there, but I see those signs they put when they film something that say like I on them, the yellow. I see the signs all the time. I see them putting them out and taking them back in. And it's interesting. They do film quite a few things here. I've seen a lot of commercials recently that were filmed here. I've noticed. I saw a credit card one that was filmed at Antonelli's cheese shop, and then I saw a commercial for some drug that was filmed downtown recently. So I think it's a good place for them to move because there's already an industry here for media and film, but the reasons behind it are less than desirable. Do you want to talk about Rosie O'Donnell's guest hosting on Jimmy Kimmel Live?
Well, a little bit. I thought it was good to see her back. And I didn't like her hair, but she looks pretty good.
Yeah,
I thought her shtick was a little, I don't know, talking about all these kids and stuff. It's kind of, yeah. I had some issues with her, not coming out until after she stopped that show. I mean, I understand, why she did it that way, but
I just wish that somebody like her would come back to daytime television because daytime TV right now is so boring. There's no one interesting anymore on daytime TV. I mean, can you think of one good show that's on? We used to have her and like Sally Jesse Raphael and people like that in Oprah. And then we had Wendy Williams and people that were
Jerry Springer.
Yeah, provocative and interesting. And now it's just so boring. And I watched her do an interview on someone else's podcast. I listened to it. And she said that she would 100% go back to doing daytime TV if she was offered the right amount of money for it. Which, who knows, I'm sure is colossal. But I think we need someone like her who, I mean, she has hated Trump for decades. I remember them having a beef with each other and fighting like over 20 years ago in the media.
Well, remember she was on The View.
Right. She was on The View.
She came back after she stopped her show. She'd come out, and then she was on The View. She was a regular on there. And she had some kind of a feud with the right-wing girl, Elizabeth Hasselbeck.
Yeah, Hasselbeck, yeah.
Who was a total nutcase. And so they, had some kind of bad blood. And... but yeah, she's, anybody that lived in New York didn't even have to live. If you're paying attention to what was going on back, had to know Donald Trump's number. And,
right.
And how, it's just incredible to me that, that, you know, it's just incredible to me that, that, you know, it's just incredible to me that, that, you know, it's just incredible to me that, that, you know, it's just incredible to me that, that, you know, it's just incredible to me that, that, you know, it's just incredible to me that, that, you know, it's just incredible to me that, that, you know, it's just incredible to me that, that, you know, it's just incredible to me that, that, you know, it's just incredible to me that, that, you know, it's just incredible to me that, that, you know, it's just incredible to me that, that, you know, it's just incredible to me that, that, you know, it's just incredible to me that, that, you know, it's just incredible to me that, that, you know, it's just incredible to me that, that, you know, it's just incredible to me that, that, you know, it's just incredible to me that, that, you know, it's just incredible to me that, that, you know, it's just incredible to me that, that, you know, it's just incredible to me that, that, you know, it's just incredible to me that, that, you know, it's just incredible to me that, that, you know, it's just incredible to me that, that, you know, it's the brainwashing thing of the reality TV thing, that stupid Apprentice TV show, which was all scripted. I mean, I never watched it. I mean, I look at this, I think, are people really watching this nonsense? I mean, and believing it.
People were obsessed with that show, and I never could get into it. I just, I tried watching it a few times, but it just never caught my interest as much as
Well, they've got
Bravo.
that other show where they've got the rich, investors.
Oh, Shark Tank.
Shark Tank. So
Yeah,
that's kind of a version, a little bit of that,
Yeah.
except that one, I think they actually are investing in
Right,
these
they're
people's
really
things. So these
investing.
people really do have,
Yeah.
but with his Celebrity Apprentice thing, it was like a game show, basically, right?
Right,
And he would
yeah.
have some kind of lame ass task for them to do, and then he was judging their results, and then you're fired, and oh my God. I don't know, but all the years prior to that show, and you thought, he is awful. I think it's like, so many people that are supposedly such smart business people and everything that I don't know if that's really the case. There's so much luck involved in all of it.
Right. It says it, and I keep hearing this Trump derangement syndrome is what conservatives are using as a defense against people who call out Donald Trump. They're saying it's called Trump derangement syndrome, and that people that are against him have like a mental illness.
Well, yeah, but dismissing any facts and reason.
Yeah, it's kind of like the pot calling the kettle black, actually, in my opinion. Because they believe in conspiracy theories that aren't real, Remember all of that nonsense? What was that called? It's kind of gone away now. But remember all those crazy conspiracy theories that came from online just a few years ago that all the conservatives started to spread around?
Well, the QAnon.
QAnon, that's what it was. Yeah, that's what I was thinking of. Yeah, that still had
crazy
long-term effects on. I'm taking a course right now called Misinformation in Society, so this is all very fresh in my brain. So I think it's crazy. So the last article that I wanted to talk about, I just thought this was funny. It says, what Canadian goods will take Trump's 50% tariffs? And the things that are listed are some pretty strange items. And I just thought, how the hell do they come up with this? Anoraks, suit jackets, national flags, Christmas ornaments, 36 different kinds of plywood. That's just the beginning. There's other major exports from Canada that the tariffs are going to be on. The plywood alone is really bad because that's horrible for home builders in the United States who have already said there's not enough American product to replace Canadian plywood. So that's going to increase housing construction costs quite a bit. Also, alcohol was very prominent because 8 of Canada's 10 provinces have restricted U.S. wine and spirits from their government-owned liquor distribution system and stores. Those measures began after Trump suggested making Canada the 51st state and imposed tariffs in violation of the free trade agreement between the two countries and Mexico. So alcohol, they added a lot of different kinds of alcohol. One holds little obvious appeal. It says mixtures of or with a basis of odoriferous substances with 20 to 50% alcohol by weight, requiring only the addition of ethyl alcohol or water to be a beverage. Left unexplained is why anyone would want to add more alcohol to something that is already half composed of the intoxicant. So some of the things in the list don't really even make any sense. Dairy products are another target, which is not surprising. Also, clothing and textiles take a huge hit. They've put tariffs on overcoats, anoraks, windbreakers, sleeveless jackets, cotton sweaters, t-shirts, car coats, capes, cloaks, tracksuits, suit jackets, blazers, and dresses, gloves, mittens, and mitts, as well as awnings, sun blinds, canvas used for painting stage backdrops, honey, jewelry, and other items, including Christmas articles for Christmas festivities, ornaments, not of glass or woods, toys, including riding ones but not bikes, fishing rods, hockey sticks, skates, festive carnival or other entertainment articles, as well as dog leashes, collars, muzzles, and harnesses.
The question is, why?
Right. And the craziest part about it as well is that many of the products listed, including studio television cameras and smartphones, do not appear to even be manufactured in Canada at all. So I don't know how Trump comes up with this. I don't know where they come up with the things that they're going to ban. They've also put tariffs on wigs, partial, false beards, eyebrows, and the like of synthetic textile materials. That's the last thing on the list. And I just think it's so bizarre. I don't know how they come up with this stuff. But I did read an article from CBC, another article earlier, that the honey tariffs are already affecting honey producers, and this family-owned honey business in Manitoba is completely closed down because 90% of their honey was exported to the United States, and they can no longer remain in business. So it's having an impact on people, and I don't understand the tariffs.
Well, it's going to have a negative impact.
Right. I don't understand why. What it was mentioning in the New York Times was like a lot of the items, including also marine buoys. I forgot to mention that one. Marine buoys was on the list. A lot of the items are things that are not mass produced, so it affects people that have small businesses.
Well, at some point, people are going to have to face it, but he is not for the common good.
Agreed. And George,
period. And yeah,
I agree, and I think that's a good place to leave it. Yeah. Thank you for coming back and sharing your stories and perspective with me.
Thanks for having me.
And thank you to everyone listening. If you'd like to get in touch with me, you can find me on Instagram at Henry Hudson Hour or email me at henryhudsonhour@gmail.com. The music for this episode is by John Bartman. Thanks for listening, and I'll see you next time. Bye-bye, George.
Bye.
Bye. Have a good day.